Quick sketching is supposed to improve your drawing skills, but does it actually work? These two quick drawings were made only a few weeks apart, and this is a story about quick decisions and confidence. Hi everyone, my name is Dorothea, I'm a character and background designer, and welcome to my channel. So I decided to do a 2-week experiment where I would make quick sketches almost every day just to see how it might change my drawing habits. And honestly, I wasn't trying to completely change my art. I just wanted to see what would happen if I stopped giving myself unlimited time to draw. So for 2 weeks, I did quick pose sketching almost every day. Sometimes it was for 10 minutes, sometimes 5, and sometimes even 3. And at some point, I realized that drawing faster wasn't just making me faster, and it was changing the way I actually think when I draw. So in this video, I want to show you what changed, what I learned from this experiment, and whether this kind of practice is actually worth doing for all of you. I think one of my biggest problems with sketching has always been overthinking. I can spend too much time trying to place everything carefully, thinking about where the body should go, how big certain shapes should be, and how everything would fit together: costume, details, emotions. And suddenly what was supposed to be a quick sketch becomes something more controlled, careful, and finished. The more time I gave myself, the more I wanted the drawing to look finished. I wanted everything to look perfect. And because of that, I think sometimes I can lose one of the most important things: the actual gesture, the energy of the pose. So I decided to do the opposite. Instead of giving myself the more time to sew the drawing, I gave less. For the last few weeks, I've been using an online quick pose generator and drawing random poses with timer. You can customize what kind of person you would like to draw, whether the person is in static or dynamic pose, and how quickly the references could change. Most of the time, I set my timer between 3 and 10 minutes, and the rule was simple. When the timer stopped, I stopped. Even if the hands look terrible, if the face wasn't finished, if the anatomy is wrong, like most of the time, you have to stop. I did the first drawing, the first sketch in 3 minutes. At first, I thought that should be enough to draw something, but then I realized that I needed almost the first 2 full minutes just to analyze the reference that suddenly appeared in front of me. So eventually, those 3 minutes turned into 5, then 8 minutes, so I have enough time to analyze everything I see. You have to make quick decisions. What is the picture about? What is the main action of the pose? What is the main focus? Which shapes actually matter, and what can I completely ignore? In 3 minutes, I barely had enough time to look at the reference, analyze it, draw some basic forms on paper. It felt more like panic with a lot of guessing and improvisation. So I realized that my 3-minute sketches mostly looked like general silhouette of the person. I like drawing with 5 and 6 minute timer much more. Even the poses started to feel more interesting, more expressive. And again, they were still far from perfect, from ideal, but I had enough time to emphasize the most important parts, the most interesting parts. And there were times when I couldn't finish my drawing because I accidentally lost the references. Sometimes I closed the page or clicked the wrong button, and that was it. There was no way to get back to that exact reference, so I had just to leave the sketch as it was. Before doing this experiment, I often approached my drawing piece by piece with details. For example, first, let's start with face, with ears and eyes, and then body with clothes, and then of course jewelry. And now it's time for legs. And when you do that, it's really easy to get lost in details and lose the main energy of your character. But with the timer running, I couldn't afford to think about every body part separately. I had to look at the whole figure first: the direction, the balance, the size. And this is really important. I mean, really. If you skip the initial analysis of how to place your character on the page, you can easily end up with legs or arms going beyond the page or canvas. And this is also an important skill to practice, and unfortunately, it takes more than a day to learn. And I started noticing that a very rough drawing could feel more alive if those first decisions were right. And that was probably one of the biggest lessons for me. A finished drawing isn't always a stronger drawing. Sometimes a messy sketch with clear gesture and energy and flow works much better. Another thing I started noticing was my line work. Before this experiment, I was trying to draw more carefully. I spent more time deciding where to place the body and redrawing many times. But when you have only 3 or 5 minutes, you simply don't have enough time to be that careful. You have to make quick decisions right now. And because of that, my lines became more confident. I'm less afraid of making mistakes, so I can add much more pressure to my lines and draw in much more expressive way. It doesn't mean your lines become more accurate every time, but they do feel more intentional. And I think that confidence make the whole sketch feel more alive. And this may be my favorite part of the entire experiment. Now I care less if my sketch is ugly, which sounds strange, but I think it's incredibly useful for all of us. I was talking about this in my previous video about sketchbook. So many years I was just afraid of bad drawings in my sketchbook because every page has to be a finished masterpiece, and this mindset is really hard to change. When you spend a long time on one drawing and it doesn't work, it can feel frustrating. But when you spend just 5 minutes on your sketch and this is sketch, that is okay because 5 minutes more, another sketch, 5 minutes more, another sketch. And you stop treating every drawing like it has to prove that you are a good artist. Some sketches are bad, some are weird, some are wrong, but they are sketches. They all become part of your practice. And I think that mindset made drawing much easier for me. There is one more thing that completely changed the way I approach drawing. I used to save all my nice sketchbooks, all my pencils, all my markers for later. But at some point, I started wanting to actually use up all the materials and tools that I already had, so I could buy something new and try a different canvas size, try different sketchbooks, marker brand, and so on. So I stopped being afraid that my pencils might run out or that my markers would dry up, because buying something new and experimenting with this is actually now one of my favorite parts. So now I can happily draw in my sketchbook without treating every single page like this is a masterpiece that's going to end up in Louvre in Paris. One more thing I started noticing much more clearly was anatomy. When you draw a lot of poses one after another, you start seeing the mistakes you repeat. Sometimes I make arm too long, sometimes my head is too big or too small, sometimes legs just don't look realistic or believable enough. And because I'm doing so many quick sketches, I get a lot of chances to notice these problems and try again in the next one. I'm not trying to fix every single drawing until it becomes perfect. I'm simply starting to understand better what looks natural and what doesn't. And I think that repetition is slowly helping me build a better sense of proportion and anatomy. But I have no illusions. I'm definitely still far from having a perfect understanding of anatomy, and I'm working on it. So, after doing this for a few weeks, I just wanted to compare where I started and where I'm now. And I don't want to pretend that a few weeks completely transformed my art, because it didn't. My anatomy didn't magically become perfect. I still make plenty of mistakes, but I can definitely see a difference in the way I approach a pose. I'm faster at finding the main gesture, the main flow. My lines are more confident, more expressive, and I'm much less afraid of drawing something on the page and getting it wrong. I think my sketches also feel more alive now, and that's honestly more interesting to me than simply becoming faster in drawing, because I thought this exercise would teach me how to draw faster, but instead it started changing the way I approach drawing altogether. And the most interesting part is that you can only understand the real benefit of this experiment, of this practice, if you try it yourself. I saw so many artists do these sketches every day and never understood why. Because, like, 3 minute sketches, 5 minute sketches, why? What the magical exercise is this? I don't think that I'm going to stop doing longer drawing studies. I still think that slow drawing is incredibly useful for everyone, but quick sketches train something different. It trains observation, it trains your confidence, it trains decision making, gesture, more expressive way to draw, and most important, it teaches you to finish your unfinished drawing quickly, and that was my problem. So if you're someone who overthinks, spends too much time trying to make every sketch polished and perfect, and is afraid of ruining your drawing with one wrong line, so this exercise is for you. Try giving yourself less time. Try drawing for 10, 5, 3 minutes and see what happens. You might not create your best drawing, but you might start drawing with a lot more freedom. And if your problem isn't confidence, but actually figuring out what to draw in the first place, I made another video for you that's called When You Can Draw But Have No Story to Tell. It's about creative art block, about importance of making messy sketches, about learning from other artists and finding ideas when your brain is completely empty. So if that sounds familiar to you, just watch this video next. It will be somewhere here. And thank you so much for watching this video till the end. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!